Alright, hey guys, She Detector here. So in today's video, I wanted to do kind of like another reacting to your comments video, but also answering some of your questions. So I had looked, it's been almost, or actually I think it's been exactly 4 months since I did a reacting to your comments video, and I know a lot of y'all liked that video. So like I said, I wanted to do kind of reacting to your comments, but I also have gotten a couple of questions that I did want to answer. So yes, that's what we're going to be doing in today's video. So for the first comment, I wanted to go back to my video way back in February, and it's when I got my new CKG digger tool. So this comment here, X-Ray Beam 2, said, "So glad to see you back. I checked out your CKG digger and ended up buying a CKG carbon fiber replacement shaft for my Equinox. Please don't take this wrong, but you're about the worst plug cutter I've ever seen this side of the messy hole crew. You're trying so hard not to make a big hole and making it worse. Just cut a neat plug, flip it open, get goodies out, and flip it back, LOL." So yes, I am terrible at cutting plugs. And you're right, I do try to make them like smaller to try and lessen the impact, but I do think it tends to make things worse. So I think the next time I go dirt digging or land hunting, I will try to cut bigger holes, and I'm sure it'll probably make things easier. But yeah, I just thought it was kind of funny saying how messy of a hole cutter I am, and I do end up making a bigger mess. So yeah, I will try to do bigger plugs next time. So the next one isn't so much like a singular comment, it was multiple comments, and I hadn't thought of this at the time, but going back and reading y'all's comments, I was like, that really makes a lot of sense. So this is also from February. This is the video where I got stopped by the park ranger, and she was saying that metal detecting was no longer allowed at this particular park due to the Indian burial ground, and they are going to be doing a resort soon. So a lot of y'all had pointed out the fact that, okay, so metal detectorists aren't allowed to dig, but they're going to be like bulldozing the land and digging to build a resort. So I hadn't thought of that at the time when she told me that, and I didn't question it. But it makes a lot of sense. Like, why would they have an issue with a metal detectorist digging? I mean, even if we dig, which, I mean, for me is like 3 feet, but I mean, usually 3, maybe 4 scoops deep on the beach. That is nothing compared to them bulldozing and digging up like an entire area, acres and acres of land to build a resort. So yeah, I hadn't thought about that, but I was like, that's a really good point. And since that video, I have continued to Google this particular park with metal detecting, and I have looked on the county website because they used to have the parks listed that you could and could not metal detect at. And I had printed out the paper that when they changed the rules and you could metal detect at this park, I had printed it out, and for the longest time I did carry it with me because I was worried of getting like grabbed by a park ranger and questioned about what I was doing. But after a couple of years, I got rid of it because I was like, okay, well, the law changed years ago, I don't have to worry about it. But still, I can't find anything officially that says metal detecting is not allowed at this particular park. I even sent an email to, I don't remember his name, but I sent an email to a gentleman here in Pasco County specifically asking about metal detecting at this park, and I never heard anything back. So I'm still unsure if legitimately metal detecting is not allowed, or maybe this particular ranger just wasn't a fan. I don't know. So I'm on the fence on whether or not this is legitimate, and I'm going to keep researching. But until I find something black and white that says yes you can or no you can't, I'm going to avoid that park for now just because I don't want to get in trouble. So yes, I wanted to point out, again, it wasn't one singular comment, but it was like multiple comments saying the same thing. So, and also on this video, I got a comment from Hal Copeland 1462. He says, please tell me what handle you have on the T-Rex. I need a lightweight one for mine. Great video too. Thank you. So for my T-Rex scoop, I do have, it's a carbon fiber Anderson handle. I have had this handle, well, for years, and it's been great. It is, I would say it is lighter than the wood handle that I have on my Cedo scoop. It is stronger. So I got my carbon fiber handle when I broke my wood handle that I had previously had. So yeah, I've not had any issues with it, but I was actually looking at getting, you guys had told me that they have handles that you can now separate, a carbon fiber handle that you can separate. And I had looked into it, and Anderson actually does make a carbon fiber handle that essentially separates in the middle, so you could break it down and like put it into the new metal detector carry bag that I got, so it would fit completely in there once you took it apart. And I had looked at getting one, and then I had happened to look over at CKG's website too. They have a similar carbon fiber handle that breaks apart in the middle, but they have it in this beautiful blue color, and I'll show it to you guys here. But blue is my favorite color. So I reached out to them because they're sold out everywhere. Like, nobody has them in stock, and they're on back order. So I'm hoping once they are back in stock that I can get my hands on one of these blue travel handles, because I really like it and I want it. So yeah. All right, so here's the handle that I was talking about. So again, at CKG, it is carbon fiber, and it's specifically labeled as a travel handle. And you can see here, they've got, it looks like, I'm guessing it's gonna be a push pin kind of situation. Let's see. Yeah, so it's a push pin situation, and they just snap together in the middle. So this is the handle that I'm hoping to get in blue once they come back in stock. And here are the diameters in case anybody was interested in that. So it looks like together it's 45.5 inches long or tall, and then separated, one half is 27 inches and the other half is 22.5 inches. So this is the one that I'm really hoping to get once it's back in stock, and hopefully it's soon, because look at how pretty that is. I really like that. So I wanted to show you guys the Anderson handles too, so you can see the difference, because they are a little bit different between the CKG ones. So let's see, they're the Neptune scoop handles. So here's their travel one. So now theirs appear to have different diameters, so depending, I guess, maybe on the size of your scoop hole, you might want to pay attention to which one you're going to get. So I'm just going to pick the first one here. It's just the 2-piece scoop handle. It's 1¼ inches. So we'll just click on this one. So theirs is different in that it's not the push pin. This one, it looks like they have threads. So it does have a threaded component. I feel like I might like the threads better than the push pin, just because our metal detectors have the push pins on the shafts, or some of the ones that I still have. They have the push pins and they tend to rust out, especially here in the saltwater. You guys that hunt freshwater might not have as bad of issues as quickly, but they do rust out. So I think the threads would probably be better for my area. If Anderson were to come out with a blue carbon fiber, I would probably end up getting the Anderson one, just because, again, I don't like the push pins for beach hunting, just because they rust so badly so quickly. So the next question I had was on a video from March, and it is from Government Ninja. So he says, Tarpon Springs area, when we were there in January of 23, we stayed in Tampa and went from there up to Crystal Springs. What a gorgeous yard you have, thank you. We made our way up to Tallahassee and then died in Panama Beach. I don't know if he means died. I don't know. Oh, they died in Panama Beach when the freeze came down. Okay. Such a cool part of the work. I see you have Dunedin. Can you tell me in a video how you pronounce it? We have one here in New Zealand, Dunedin, and glad you got the multi-cruiser going again. So it's pronounced differently from how it's spelled. So before we moved to Florida and I was looking for areas that we were gonna live in Florida, I saw this Dunedin, and I had been talking to some people. I came down early. Anyways, I came down and I was talking to some people here in the area, and I was like, yeah, you know, we're looking at some places in Dunedin, because it's spelled Dunedin. It looks like Dunedin. I was like, yeah, we're looking at some places in Dunedin. And they looked at me like, where? And I was like, Dunedin, you know, like just south of Tarpon Springs. And they laughed at me and they were like, oh, it's pronounced Dunedin. And I was like, are you serious? Because it's not spelled Dunedin. I feel like there should be two E's if it was Dunedin, but it's Dunedin, even though it looks like it should be Dunedin. So the next comment is from a video I did in the beginning of April, and I'm not sure how this person pronounces their name. It's either Old Dweeb or Old Weeb. I'm assuming it's Old Dweeb. So they say the shaft-mounted GoPro focus on the detector screen seems promising, but it must have been awkward and exhausting to have to hold your right arm outside of the arm cuff because of the GoPro mount was in the way. Maybe a custom 3D printed O-shaped mount would allow arm pass-through and straight-on view of the detector screen could resolve this. That dime looks silver in the wrap-up, 1964 instead of 1984. Fun stuff, thanks. So yes, trying to record the double score screen is difficult, and it's just because of the way it's built. So the screen on the double score is so far away from the shaft, and it's at an angle. So like if this is the shaft and the screen was like this, it might not be so bad, but like it's kind of tilted a little bit, so now it's far away and it's at an angle. So trying to get a camera pointed at the screen is really difficult, and I've tried a couple of different setups. So I tried one mounted on the detector, and that's when I had my arm outside of the arm cuff. I've tried one mounted on my wrist. I've tried using my head mount GoPro to like really try and focus on the screen, and none of them are really ideal. So yeah, if somebody were to 3D print some kind of mount that would still reach far enough to get the screen, I mean, I don't know that you'd be rolling in dough because I don't know how many people actually record their screens, but yeah, it's definitely cumbersome, and I still not really figured out a great way to do it, but I try to make it work. So yeah, it's just kind of one of the back office things of recording your videos and putting it out there, is trying to find workarounds of doing things, kind of like trying to record the sounds of the double score. I'm still working on doing that, but yeah, it's just one of those things that I just kind of deal with and go with the flow. So the next comment is from another April video, and this one is from Tommy Burns 3271. So he says, hi She Detector, I just wanted to pass along this little note. My wife has been going through cancer treatment at Moffitt. It's been a long couple of months, MRIs, PET scans, 2 surgeries on her spine, chemo, etc. We arrived home and I told my wife I wanted to watch some of your adventures. We had a great time catching up on your last few videos, new equipment, a Hot Wheels car, cleaning the beach of debris. Kathy had a great time watching you. You brought a smile to her face, which has been a rare commodity lately. You are so upbeat and have an infectious smile. I just wanted to thank you for all you do. You touch so many people in many ways. Thank you, Tommy and Kathy. So when I read that comment, I was like, it did bring a smile to my face, just because like I put these videos out there like for entertainment and sometimes educational content, primarily for entertainment. So to see that it's like, that what I'm doing is like bringing somebody who's going through kind of shit, like really, to see that it's like bringing a smile to their face, or maybe just allowing them to like forget about what's going on for a little bit, that really does make me happy. So it's not just that I'm like entertaining you guys, but like I'm able to help get somebody's mind off of what's going on in their life. You know what I mean? So I'm really happy to read that. I mean, I'm really sorry that Kathy, that you're going through this, and I really do hope that everything comes out great. I hope your cancer goes away and you're healthy and happy and live a long, long life. But yeah, it does make me happy to read comments like that. So thank you, Tommy, for telling me that and letting me know that I'm bringing a smile to Kathy's face. Hopefully you guys see this. So the next comment is from another April video. So this one is from Chuck Clark 9464. So he says, hello Shoe Detector, I was wondering if you ever thought about buying one of those little tumblers to clean up your coins. I'm just a clean freak when it comes to coins. I don't know why. I was also wondering, did you ever contact Anderson about getting one of those handles that come apart for your scoop? Let me know. I'm just curious about that too. See if you got one to get to see if they're gonna send you one about trying to fit in your bag for your metal detecting. Thank you. So this was one of the comments that made me start looking into those travel handles, because I honestly didn't know that they existed. So thank you, Chuck Clark 9464, for asking that question so that I was able to research it. And then for the coin tumbler, so I have in the past thought about getting one, but based on the number of coins that I have, that I've collected over the, we'll just say 9 years of metal detecting, I don't know that it's worth the investment of getting a coin tumbler, because I would use it once like every 10 years, it seems like. So I have thought about it, but no, I've not gotten one, and I probably won't get one. But I know a lot of people have them, and I have seen some of the like before and after videos when people put their coins in the tumblers, and they seem to do a really good job. So the next comment is from one of my more recent ones. This is from one of my May videos, and this is from Peace and Tranquility YD4XH. So he says, hi, did you do a review on the Mind Lab Equinox 900? So I've actually gotten a couple of questions on, have I ever reviewed an Equinox, or do I plan on reviewing an Equinox? And the answer is no, I've never reviewed an Equinox. I've seen them in person, but I've never used one. Any of the numbers, because I believe they have like the 700, the 900, and I think there's an 800 in there. So I've not used any of the Noxes, not for any particular reason other than I believe when they first came out, it was right around the time where I ended up taking my break. So I hadn't had it in the works before I took my unintentional break. And then I was out of it for 2 years. And so now that I'm back into it, I mean, I know that they're still kind of like a hot commodity, but they've been around for a little bit already. So it's not really something that I have kind of on my list of machines to review, really any of the numbers. So yeah, I've not tried one. I don't plan on trying one in the immediate future. But I've heard some good things about some of the versions. I tend to get them mixed up on what I hear about this one or that one, so I don't know if one version is better than the others. I'm not sure. I don't really know a lot about them. All right, so the last comment for this video is from David Heil 5363. So he says, the sounds came through perfectly. Good, I'm glad. It's nice to hunt in a pristine area that isn't laden with trash. Sometime when you can work it in, could you please explain to us, never been to the ocean landlubbers, how the tide thing works? Is there 2 high tides and low tides per day? And how do you know when they're going to be? Coin Island lives up to its name again. So yes, David, it is nice to be able to hunt and dig up slightly less trash than normal. So for the tides, there are generally 2 high tides and 2 low tides per day. Now, granted, this could switch out a little bit, kind of like how some months have like 5 weeks in them and other months only have 4 weeks in them. So depending on what time of the day the high tide or the low tide is, you could potentially get like 3 high tides in a day. But normally we'll just keep it simple and we'll say there's 2 high tides and 2 low tides per day. So they are 6 hours apart. So let's say you have a high tide at midnight, then you will have a low tide at 6 a.m. and your next high tide will be at noon, and then your next low tide would be at 6 p.m. So I have an app on my phone that I use to find out what the tides are going to be. It'll give me a pretty good idea of what time the water is going to be either in or out. Obviously, I like going out when it's low tide because you have more area, more access to swimming areas, and the water's going to be lower, so it's easier to work in those areas. So I'll refer to the app to try and figure that out. Your location will also determine like what time the tides will be. So the farther south you go, the later the tidal change will be. So for example, like up in the panhandle of Florida, let's just say like Pensacola. So let's say their high tide is at noon and their next low tide is going to be at 6 p.m. So the water is going to go away from Pensacola. Let's just say it's going to go south. So the water is going to travel south all along down Florida. So when it is low tide up there at 6 p.m., it might not be low tide for us down here until like 8 p.m. because the water still has to travel all that distance to finally leave us. And hopefully I'm explaining it kind of okay. So yeah, the farther south you go, the later the tidal change will be. And same thing going north. So like if our high tide is at 3 p.m., Pensacola's high tide might not be until like 5 p.m. or 6 p.m. because the water has to travel all the way back up north, so their high tide is going to be later than our high tide. And it doesn't even have to be that big of a distance. So even from like where I'm at in Tarpon Springs, down south in St. Pete, their tidal change might be like 30-minute difference from where I am. So depending on where you are, the tides will be different if you travel, you know, a couple miles south or north. I did see this video and I wanted to show it to you guys. So this is Neil deGrasse Tyson, and if y'all don't know who he is, he's like this super smart genius guy who pretty much knows like everything about space and time and all of those good things. So he has a video explaining how the tides actually work, and I wanted to play that for you guys now.
There is a bulge of water, 2 of them, on opposite sides of the Earth, caused by the sun and the moon. And Earth turns inside that bulge. When we say the water rises and falls tidally, what's happening is we are rotating into the bulge and then out of the bulge.
So the bulge is already there.
It's already there.
And all we kind of do is pass through the
Pass
bulge.
through, and the water gets high and it gets low. So we're stuck with language from our own perspective rather than language of what's actually happening. It's simpler that way to say the water goes in and out. It's simpler to say the sun set rather than Earth rotated such that our angle of view on the stationary sun fell below our local horizon.
So I thought that was really interesting. And it makes a lot of sense, and it also makes sense on why it's just easier to say that the tides come in and come out instead of saying, well, the water is staying still, but the Earth is moving. It's really interesting, and I'm not smart enough to try and debunk what he's saying, so I feel like if it's coming from him, it's probably true. But that could also change depending on what camp you are in, as far as if you are a flat earther or not. So if any of y'all are flat earthers and would like to try and debunk the tidal explanation, I would not be opposed to reading that in the comments, because it would be interesting to see what you guys have to say about that. Alright guys, so that's it for today's video. Hopefully you enjoyed it. Like I said, it wasn't quite entirely a reacting to your comments, but more so like answering some questions and also reacting to some of your comments a little bit. I do want to try and do these like every couple of months just because I do want to answer y'all's questions because I do get a lot of questions, and it is nice to react to some of y'all's comments, especially when I see like good kind of uplifting comments like Tommy and Kathy's comment. So if you've never commented on a video before, you might want to start doing it because who knows, maybe in a future video I'll be reacting to your comment or answering your question. If you liked today's video, please make sure to give it a big thumbs up. If you have any questions or comments, please make sure to leave them in the comment section down below. Thanks for watching, and until next time, I will see you guys later.